You're watching Talk Mini, and I'm your CJ. Welcome back to the albums ranked, and today's album ranked is of the mighty Mercyful Fate, a band that I've wanted to rank for the very longest time, and finally got the opportunity to do. Finally decided to do it, and honestly, I'm fucking glad, but I'm kind of dreading what number 7 is because it's kind of a controversial take. But yeah, it's my opinion. It's my opinion. None None of the Mercyful Fate albums are bad. I definitely will go back to any of these albums and enjoy them. Perfect 10 out of 10 discography all the way through with studios, and including the two that the band would consider to be studio albums as well, or even fans. But honestly, yeah, let's get it going. Number 7, In the Shadows from 1993. A huge studio album gap from this one and Don't Break the Oath. Yeah, there was a long gap, and that's because of the King Diamond solo stuff. Also want to rank King Diamond solo stuff as well because, like, yeah, that's another one of my favorite groups as well. The songs are reminiscent of the King Diamond band, with that sound King has on his solo albums are all over this, and really it fucking works. Honestly, it fucking works. It reminds me of the King Diamond solo work. But yeah, it's just with Mercyful Fate, which is still fucking awesome. It's a combination between Mercyful Fate and King Diamond solo. But songs like this, songs like Is That You, Melissa, The Bell Witch, The Old Oak, and even Gruesome Time being the songs that stand out the most. The guitar technicality in the solos and the badass riffage of the two previous are here, but it has the type of soloing and technicality of the King Diamond solo releases as well. Yeah, the best song on this album, on In the Shadows, I don't own it on CD. Wish I did. But Egypt, absolutely one of my favorite Mercyful Fate songs. I absolutely love that song as well. Like, that song is just so fucking good. Number 6 is Dead Again, 1998, a different sounding album that has a heavier sound. I'd say it has some doomy elements to it with how heavy it is. It has doomy elements. It's a little bit slow in some parts, and picks up like some other, but yeah, it's fucking good. They tried to replicate their success in the long song department with the title track, but it just doesn't carry the same magic as Satan's Fall, while being nowhere near the albums above it on this list. It's still a Mercyful Fate album. It still sounds like Mercyful Fate. Still carries the qualities of a Mercyful Fate record. And honestly, definitely fucking enjoyable. Favorite songs here are Torture, The Lady Who Cries, Sucking Your Blood, Banshees, and Mandrake. But the GOAT on this album is The Night. The Night, one of my favorite Mercyful Fate songs ever. Any of them I say is the best on the album is probably going to be one of my favorite Mercyful Fate songs. But yeah. Number 6, Dead Again, still perfect album, just like the one before it I mentioned. Number 5 is going to be 9 from 1999, the most recent album to date from Mercyful Fate and the last until the long hiatus. 9 is by far where they went the most in the direction of doom. With the songs, they're just slower paced songs and have a different feel to them, but it's still Mercyful Fate. It still sounds fucking good. King Diamond, it sounds good on this album. The guitars sound good. Everything sounds good, but it's more of a doom album. It's more of a doomy album, which honestly, for Mercyful Fate, honestly, it kind of works. It really does work. You would think with the whole like occult and Satanism type thing that they do, doom would work as well. Prove it here. For some reason, I go back to 9 often. Maybe it's because it was the first one I found on CD. First one I listened to on repeat over and over because that's the one I had back then. But that's the one I had when I only listened to CDs. Songs that made this album are Last Rites, House on the Hill, Burn in Hell, Kiss the Demon, and Sold My Soul, all being fantastic. But Church of St. Anne is the gem on this album. It's hands down one of the best Mercyful Fate songs that they ever put out. This album is pretty good. Check it out if you haven't. I know a lot of people haven't checked out their newer stuff. Not really newer because, well, They haven't released it since 1999. And I'm not waiting for the new album, so I'm ranking this not waiting for the new album because there's no telling when it's going to come out. Number 4, Into the Unknown, another one I don't own. This is a fantastic album, especially for 1996, and would rank as one of my favorites from that year. It has some of Mercyful Fate. It has the Mercyful Fate sound that the fans eat up with the lyrical themes and solos that Mercyful Fate a fan would love. It's truly a great album. Songs like The Uninvited Guest, Listen to the Bell, the title track, Holy Water, and 15 Men, all of which are hard-hitting and makes it a great album. Into the Unknown has some absolute badass tracks on it, but the best of them would have to be The Ghost of Change. Like, that's another one that really stood out to me when I listened to this album, and I was like, this is one of their best songs. I didn't listen to this album for the very longest time. It's probably like the least listened to album that they have that for me, but yeah, I didn't know what I was missing, honestly. Listened to it a couple times before this, but definitely love it. Number 3 is Time from 1994. Reminiscent of the sound of the two classics, I'd say this one is up there with the same quality. The album is somewhat doomy and somewhat different from what the band put out before this, and still going back to the classic sound. It's like a blend transition period album that kind of has like a transitional. Nothing like what In the Shadows was like, but has a little bit what the old stuff has, and some stuff what the new stuff would have. the newer stuff, because it's still the 90s, but the riffs hit hard on this album, plus King Diamond sounds great. The solos stand out as they are still as good as ever. Best songs on the album are Witch's Dance, The Mad Arab, Lady in Black, Angel of Light, and Mirror, but the greatest song on Time is My Demon. I don't know if that's like the big time song from this album, but if it isn't, it isn't. It's still my favorite song from it. Number 2 is where we get in a little bit of a controversy. Number 2 is going to be Don't Break the Oath from 1984. Following up Melissa, this masterpiece shreds all the way through with solos back-to-back with 2 lead guitars reminiscent of thrash. Like the back-to-back solos, like going from one guitar solo to the next guitar solo instantly from one guitarist to the next. Reminiscent of what thrash was to do coming down the road, Slayer, those bands. Along with Melissa, Don't Break the Oath is known as a legendary album for a reason. It's potent, hard-hitting, evil heavy metal that was different than what most bands were doing at the time, inspiring a shit ton of bands that point to this album in particular as an inspiration. Don't Break the Oath deserves a legendary status, and I'd even say it's underrated. And that's not really a controversial take, because like most people that are like, a lot of people that were into heavy metal that got me into heavy metal didn't even know this one existed, which it's kind of fucking criminal, because this album is one of the best albums of all fucking time. That's just saying what number 1 is, which is Melissa. The songs are phenomenal. I'll read them. Basically, A Dangerous Meeting, Nightmare, Desecration of Souls, Night of the Unborn, The Oath, Gypsy, Welcome Princess of Hell, To One Far Away, and Come to the Sabbath. 9 songs of just perfection. 9 songs of one of the best albums of all time. And that just leaves one, which is Melissa. I also have Melissa as well. From 1983, it's the debut and the one that came before Don't Break the Oath a year before. Mercyful Fate has one of the greatest debuts in heavy metal history, with an album that sounds like no other. An early masterpiece in the history of heavy metal. Melissa is a revolutionary album that isn't just doing something others were able to do better. Melissa was the blueprint that other bands were not able to touch or even try to replicate, other than Mercyful Fate themselves, with Don't Break the Oath as both albums are on the same fucking level and hit about the same hard as hits about the same. But there's one song that kind of puts this one ahead, which is Satan's Fall. Spoiler alert. Their themes of the occult and Satanism in 7 songs that fuck on every level. I'll read them out to you as they all stand out. Evil, Curse of the Pharaohs, Into the Coven, At the Sound of the Demon Bell, Black Funeral, Satan's Fall, and Melissa. Absolutely fucking amazing album. But the brightest gem in my personal favorite song of Mercyful Fate, Satan's Fall, is on this album. It's 11 minutes, and it just brings you chills every time it comes on. Oh, and this is also the debut of King Diamond on a studio album that I know of. Hopefully it is, but don't quote me on that. But yeah, best fucking album of all time with Mercyful Fate. Never Will Be Touched. One of the best metal albums of all time. One of the most influential metal albums of all time because, well, most people would point to Don't Break the Oath as the most influential. But where the fuck did Don't Break the Oath come from? It came from Melissa. But that's how I rank King Diamond. That's how I rank Mercyful Fate. I keep saying King Diamond. But yeah, that's how I rank Mercyful Fate. Hope everyone liked it. And I will see everyone whenever I decide to upload again, which will be in the very near future. Peace.